Hey everybody, it's Lord Jackal, and I'm here for a Smashtalk update on one specific issue. As you know, like the whole Direct happened, I've been debating doing a video on my full thoughts of the Direct, but Sakurai went more into depth in this Direct about the boss characters that are going to be in the next Smash Brothers. And so he showed off the Yellow Devil and how that was going to function on Mega Man's stage. And then he also said, what we all had already assumed, that there would be other stages with bosses on them. And what he did was, he said, oh, and who knows, maybe on other stages, other bosses will show up. And then he showed the ground of the Pyrosphere, which is the Metroid stage from Other M, and a shadow of what is very clearly Ridley kind of floating in and then floating off. A lot of people have taken this as Ridley is clearly a boss and is not a playable character, and so they proceeded being assholes and like making fun of other people for thinking that he'd be playable and stuff. Here's why that's wrong. It's not that Ridley is guaranteed to be playable or that he's not a boss character. I actually have thought since the Pyrosphere was shown that he is going to be a boss character, but I don't think that we've seen any proof whatsoever that he's not playable. So basically what I wanted to do is kind of go one by one and address each reason or proof or piece of evidence that people... Stop ringing! Here's the first thing. Ridley being a boss and being a playable character, that's not mutually exclusive. Now, people have said things like, oh, well, you know how with Toon Link, when you're playing as Toon Link on the Spirit Track stage, Alfonso will run the train instead. So, yeah, you know, maybe in the Pyrosphere, somebody else besides Ridley will come in. No, I don't think it'll be that. You can't replace... It's not the same thing, because Toon Link being in the background of the Spirit Tracks thing, being replaced with somebody else, it's not a big deal. But Ridley, there's not really any other Metroid characters like Ridley who could actually take that place, and replacing him with Kraid or something would fundamentally change the stage, and I don't think he'd allow that. But the thing is, there are so many different versions of Ridley. Ridley has been blown up and reassembled and so many times that you could still canonically... Okay, if you care about the canon, first off, if you care about the canon, there is still a way to actually have Ridley fighting Ridley. It could happen, canonically, even though canon has never really mattered in Smash. I haven't played Other M, but everything I've read, I believe it's actually Meta Ridley that you fight in the Pyrosphere, and not, you know, purple Ridley, the original Ridley that people would want to be the actual playable character. So that is, whatever, doesn't matter that much. What amazes me is that people bring up the shadow thing, and they act like, oh, well, see, Sakurai hinted at this, so he's deconfirmed or disconfirmed or whatever. And I find that amazing because he didn't hint at it. I mean, he strongly implied, which is a very different thing. It's not like, for example, people are saying they saw Samurai Goro in the Assist Trophy sections. They're like, that basically confirms Captain Falcon. Like stuff like that is like hinted, where it's like he doesn't directly address it, it's just kind of in the background. Finding things like that, you know, whatever. Like, if you find something like that and you bring it up, like, yeah, that's cool. Nobody picked up on the fact that Ridley's shadow was going across the ground. Sakurai blatantly pointed it out. He made sure that everybody saw it. He left the camera there for like almost 10 seconds. He was not hinting. He was strongly implying, essentially telling everybody that, you know, this is Ridley on the Pyrosphere. Why is this different to me? Because why would he do that and not just confirm Ridley? Okay, so let's go with two different threads, two different, basically, outcomes of what could happen. If Ridley is not playable, and Sakurai spends all this time hinting at it and toying with people and leading them on, if he reveals Ridley as a boss, everybody will just be like, alright, yeah, we know. Cool. Doesn't really make waves. On the other hand, if he does all this and he makes people think that Ridley is not playable, if he makes people think that it's just a boss, and then right before release or at E3, he shows Ridley as a playable character, he has a huge intro, a big surprise, like out of nowhere thing, like they did with Greninja, where suddenly at the end of the Direct or something, Ridley just pops up. That would build a lot of hype. it would build a lot of hype. And hype is something that they kind of need to sell this game. I really believe that if Sakurai only had Ridley as a boss, he wouldn't have shown us anything, and he would have just shown Ridley burst down on the stage as a boss at one point in the Direct. Because that would have been news. That would have been a big deal if we'd heard nothing about Ridley and then he showed up. And if Sakurai has shown us one thing, it's that he knows how to build hype. Remember E3? The E3 reveals were ridiculous. He managed to get hype 3 times. The Animal Crossing reveal, to start off, was really surprising. He went with somebody that nobody expected. And then when the Direct was over, and everybody was kind of sad, and they were just like, oh, alright, well, we were kind of hoping for something more. Then he brings in Mega Man. Potentially the most desired character. That builds a lot of hype. And then what does he do? He reveals another completely unexpected character out of nowhere. The Wii Fit trainer, when it showed up, I remember for like the first half hour, because I was reporting with Gamnesia at the time, after the trainer had been revealed, we didn't know if it was real or not. It was really surprising, and it built a lot of hype. Not hype so much as press and attention. Since E3, he's been spacing out his reveals. Not just, like waiting a month or two to reveal another character, but also kind of taking his time between introducing each big deal. Like, we get a big character, and then we get a bunch of veterans, people that we expected, but a bunch of smaller details. When interest starts dying down a bit, they release another huge character that gets people talking. Little Mac. We saw that with Little Mac. Ridley is, the last time I checked, the most wanted actual first-party Nintendo character. He would build a lot of hype. He's honestly probably the biggest gun that Sakurai has. So if Sakurai is building up to a reveal at E3, showing Ridley right before the 3DS version comes out, that's going to build a lot of hype. That will get people talking about the game. And for some people, I think it will sell the game. I'm not really a huge Metroid fan. I've played a couple. I like Super Metroid. The Prime games I never actually got around to beating. Ridley doesn't sell the game for me. I'm not particularly interested in playing as him, but there are a lot of people who are. And I know that, and Sakurai knows that. And frankly, to do what he's doing and then not reveal Ridley as playable would actually harm the game's sales, or at least people's opinion of the game. All that being said, Ridley is not confirmed as playable. He won't be until we actually see him. I just wanted to point out that he also was not disconfirmed as a playable character, like a lot of people are saying. Until Sakurai literally says that Ridley is not going to be playable, it's not disconfirmed. Coming out of this Direct, we have just as much knowledge about Ridley as we had the first time. I don't know why people were acting so different. He had already heavily implied that Ridley was going to be on the Pyrosphere when the Pyrosphere was shown, and when he's shown the hole. All he's doing is repeating the same thing over and over again because he's building tension. With all the other disappointing characters, he just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off quickly, because he knew that if he teased people about Waluigi for a long time, and then revealed that he wasn't playable, it would have pissed people off. With Lin, with Samurai Goro, a lot of those characters that were assist trophies, he just showed them, because he knew that if he teased people and then didn't deliver, it wouldn't go over well. And before we say Ridley is disconfirmed, we should also remember that there are 2 characters who were in worse situations than Ridley is in, and ended up being playable. First off, Toon Link was in a really similar situation. He was in the background. I remember when they showed Toon Link on the Spirit Track stage. Everybody, kind of said, like, there he's disconfirmed. I'm like, no, because he didn't... Because even then, Sakurai never directly said that he wouldn't be playable. He didn't say, oh, well, I guess Toon Link's stuck on the train. He didn't do that. We haven't even actually seen Ridley yet. We saw a bit of the wing, but we haven't actually seen Ridley. So he is in no way in the same or even less likely of a situation than Toon Link was. Second off, the Samus thing in the Direct. When Sakurai said, Zero Suit Samus won't be playable. Actually, Sakurai is a troll. He knows what we want, he pays attention to his fan base, and he knows how to manipulate them. He knows how to get their goat. And he did it several times at that Direct. And honestly, stepping back and looking at it, it looks like he's doing it with Ridley. He is trolling harder than he ever has. Because the more that he trolls people, the more that he leads people on towards Ridley not being playable, the bigger the reveal is going to be. There's also a couple other things that people have been bringing up to kind of support that Ridley's actually a playable character. They say that the Shadow in the Direct didn't move like a boss, it moved like a playable character, like it was being controlled by somebody. I don't really want to take that stuff as proof or evidence, because even though it supports my side or whatever, we have no idea how he programmed this boss. I'm just basing my ideas off of what Sakurai's done in the past. Everything he's done so far makes me feel like he's totally capable of trolling us with Ridley. And I think it's really presumptuous and pretty stupid to assume that Ridley's not playable because of this and to go around bragging about it. Because you're not smart for seeing that Ridley's shadow is on the ground. You're not. Alright, so that's it for this Smash Talk. I might do a full direct opinions. For the most part, I don't have a lot to say. The thing is that most of my opinions about the direct are in my stream that I did with Pizza Dude Man Guy and Mr. Gaming Pichu and a bunch of other people, which is like the last video on this channel. So if you wanted to go back and check that, that's where most of my thoughts are. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.